Alright, so I'm doing a video tutorial from the website Fotor. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but I don't care. Anywho, this is the most awesome software for fixing teeth, wrinkles, stuff like that. Now this is the lovely Kelly Moran. She's a Beachbody coach, and we did some really awesome photos that already look pretty darn great. But those of us over the age of 40 need a little bit of love on the photos. That's okay. I love to touch up my own photos and anybody else's as well. So the first thing is, how do you zoom and whatnot? The easiest way is you have to scroll up and down with your mouse. So if you want to scroll to one part of the photo, like in the top right, scroll from that point, and then naturally it goes to that point of the photo. Unfortunately, you can't really go up and down like with a typical software. But either way, it's all web-based. I imported a bunch of photos using import photos on the top right. Now, first we're going to remove some wrinkles. So to center her face, I'm going to go a little bit to the left, and that'll make it center right in the middle of the screen. So we'll start with wrinkles. If you're familiar with Photoshop, it's very similar to copying and pasting a layer, then blurring out that layer and lowering the transparency so that a little bit of the layer before still shows. If you're familiar with Photoshop, that will make sense. For the forehead, I keep the brush size the same, which is kind of big. Put the years removed up higher. That's sort of like less transparency, right? So you look here, it almost completely covers them up, but leaves just enough to make it look natural, okay? Most important, always hit apply. We're going to use a smaller brush and less transparency for the next round. And so if you change the transparency now without saving, it'll change it for the pre-existing layer as well. So what we want to do is we want to apply that so that we can just keep that and then move on. Now, you're going to get a smaller brush size, about a third of that size. You can see the brush size on the screen here. I want a little bit larger because to get the whole face quickly, you want to have enough brush to be able to blast over it. Yours removed is at 20. That's a good number. Now, one of the most important things, details in the face like the edges of eyes you don't want to touch. If you blur them out, it will look that much more fake. And so that's why we need to adjust our brush size so that we don't blur out those parts of the face. As you can see, this stuff is freaking easy. I do it on shine. I do it on pretty much everything in the chin. These extra little smile lines and whatnot, we want to blur out some of that shine on the chin as well. Shine on the cheekbones. But we're going to keep those eyes intact. Okay? We'll hit the nose a little bit, but again, we don't want to hit nostrils. That's a detail that looks fine. It looks normal. Now, we want to get that little spot above the eyes. We need to shrink the brush down just a little bit more. There we go. Let's go a little bit smaller. Alright, so we don't want to hit those eyebrows or eyelashes, right? We want to keep those intact. Alright, looks good. Let's apply that. And I'm going to do one more little adjustment. These crow's feet, I'm going to go ahead and crank up the ears a little bit. We're going to remove 30 years. Crank the brush down so we get the right size to go right in there. We're just going to get those taken out just a little bit more. You can click it, you can brush it, it's all the same shit. Alright. Now we're going to apply that. Now let's scroll down, let's whiten the teeth. This one's the easiest thing that there is. I'm going to show you one additional detail on it. So you need a pretty small brush for the teeth. I think all the way down works really well. Softness all the way up means there's less transparency and a more extreme effect. If you just brush over them one time, you can see the effect. I'm going to show you one more little cheat on that. Let's hit apply. Let's say you don't think that that's white enough. Let's zoom in on that sucker. We're going to get a blush, which is essentially a paintbrush, right? Hit blush, hit your little color wheel here, where the colors are at. And we're going to go all the way to white, which it is right now. And you can kind of see, let's shrink down that brush a bit. I'm just going to create a line so you can see the difference. See that little white line? It still has some transparency on it. Let me undo that. You can undo with Control Z on a PC or Command Z on a Mac. We're gonna make that brush a little bit bigger. Not quite that big. We can whiten them up even more. So I'll just show you what that looks like. I don't like the way that looks, that's too much. Okay, let's do this. So I'm just kind of clicking it. The edges are a bit dissolved, which helps out quite a bit in the edit. So we're just really going super white. Get one over here, hit apply. Okay, now we're going to work on the neck and arms a little bit. Unless I don't have space, I use a good sized brush on this one. So I have just enough for the arms. Arms with freckles, you can go full 30 years removed. Just going to smooth it out a lot. Now we have depth of field on this photo, meaning that the foreground and background are out of focus and the subject is in focus. That means we can get away with a little bit of blur here and there without anybody really noticing. The face is about 90% of this whole battle. Gonna scroll to zoom in on the neck, shrink the brush size just a little bit, hit that sucker a little bit. Now she had a photo earlier with some sunburn and stuff like that, so I'll show you what I did there. On that part I used the blush. I chose the beige color in the top middle, and if you just hit it, you can see that the whole area gets lightened a bit, but we don't really want that. Well, it may not look that bad. Yeah, the chin's a bit bright, so I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, now it's kind of more natural. Anyways, let me pull up both photos here so you can see the before and after. So here's the before and after. There's no question that this looks amazing. It's just radically different. 9-day difference, right? Yes, if you look closely, it does look a bit airbrushed, but in the actual photo, if she doesn't crop it, you'll never know the difference. This is the uncropped, and if she does choose to crop it a bit, it's still gonna look pretty darn good. Pretty much on par with Celine Dion, Oprah Winfrey, people like that that have airbrushing. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. Fotor is about 10 bucks a month max, so you could do just 1 month for 10 bucks, do 100 photos, and you're done. Peace out.